Good evening. Nice to see you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. What time is it? Let's see. 6:33. Do we have any public do we do public comment? No? Okay, just call the meeting to order? Okay, all right. Well, nice to see everyone. Happy New Year. It's great that you all made it. I'll just let you know what's on the table in front of you so you can get oriented a little bit. There is something called a master copy, Housing Priority Strategies and Action Items, where I included all of your, the people that provided comments or action items, and I put them all in here, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I did, the work I did on that. There's also a copy of the presentation, which is very short. We just came out with a new housing, a new accessory dwelling unit fact sheet, and so I shared that with you. And then the other thing is that of the 4 people that shared action items, I put a copy of each of the 4 people who provided action items. So in case you want to refer to that to make sure that your comments have been, your action items have been accurately reflected. So that you have that as well. And I think that's it.
Dive in, if we can just approve the minutes quick so we don't forget.
Right. Can we approve the minutes? Do we have a motion?
I would move approval of the minutes from December 4th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Sorry, I forgot about that, the minutes. I don't think of them as minutes. Okay, so let's start. So tonight, I was going to go through kind of just take a step back and look at all the things that we've covered, but I think because of the breadth of information that you shared and how much work we actually have left to do in terms of getting the action items in place and prioritized, I think I'm going to skip that for tonight. And in our next meeting, maybe our final meeting, I will provide a brief background before we actually finalize the draft chapter and the priorities and action items. I sent you an email probably a week or so after the last meeting that had links to Downtown Master Plan from the Village of Oregon, some information on cooperative housing, co-housing, and tiny homes. They came up as part of the community housing survey, and I just wanted to bring those up and see if you have any questions or if you had a chance to look at that information. I have recently learned about heyday development, not just in Cottage Grove, but in Wanakee and Sun Prairie, and I have a few observations I need to share with you on that. And then we're going to use the final core values, priorities, and strategies to discuss, refine, and finalize our action items, and divide that into short-term, 0 to 24 months, and medium-term, 2 to 5 years. And any remaining will go under a section called longer-term considerations. And then we're going to talk about next steps. So, did anybody have a chance to look at the Downtown Master Plan that the Village of Oregon did and finalized, I guess, last year? One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up and share this with you is that a lot of the things that you have in your housing study and your previous comp plan, as well as this, really talks a lot about connectivity, the need for pedestrian and bike-friendly community, more access to services, and that's sort of repeated in various different ways throughout these documents. And the downtown development and as part of that, they really wanted to create a vibrant downtown destination. And they had buildings that they were using that could have probably been used better for other things, like their municipal building was right downtown, and it was, they've actually since relocated, and they're going to redevelop that into maybe housing and some commercial. But they really wanted to emphasize the small town charm with a bustling future, increase foot traffic, and connectivity, and then free up some prime real estate for housing and commercial development. And it seems like a lot of these things are things that you kind of hinted at or directly spoken about. So I wanted to share that with you to see if, just so you could see what that is, because that's not an action item or a strategy in here. Any questions before I move on to the next one? No? Okay. Did you get a chance to look at the cooperative housing, and do you want me to talk a little bit about cooperative housing as a form of affordable housing, or do you understand what that is? Yes, good, we're good with that? Okay. And the next one is co-housing.
That's my only question on that.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing special in like Madison zoning ordinance to accommodate that, right? It's just a style of ownership.
Yeah, I don't think you can zone for tenure, housing tenure. Now, I mean, it is different because it's a nonprofit, so there's probably some sort of a pilot or a, payment in lieu of taxes agreement they have. I don't know anything about that, but yeah, not that I know of, yeah. And then there's co-housing. Now, co-housing would probably be, require some, I don't know, some sort of a PUD because it's, I don't know, actually. I haven't looked at, I don't know what that would, I don't know what that would mean in terms of housing, zoning. But basically the co-housing is single-family homes, either attached or individual, not attached, that have a common space, a common building, which houses a kitchen, laundry, playrooms, meeting spaces. And the one co-housing that's right near my house on the north side of Madison, Troy Co-housing, a majority of that, and this is community land trust housing, so it's actually affordable housing. There is some market rate in there, but there is a majority of it's affordable housing because it's part of a land trust. So the land trust owns the land under it, and people purchase the homes, the ones that are affordable, and not the actual land. So that's a little bit about co-housing, and we have so many different in the city of Madison. There's like 15 different co-housing developments, or something like that. Do you have a question, Paula?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what are the major differences? We have cottage courts kind of already as part of our thing. Like, what's the big difference between the two?
A cottage court, that's home ownership. There's no shared common space other than like sort of an outdoor space with a cottage court. And co-housing is typically, I think for the most part, at least what I know about the co-housing is, well, it's actually, some of it's market rate and some of it's community land trust. But cottage courts could actually be community land trust, but they're typically market rate, just smaller homes situated on one lot, typically surrounding, with a center green or maybe a green off to some, shared green space off to the side. But there's no common building or any responsibilities. Like with co-housing, you actually have, I think monthly, you have to chip in and help with dinner or something, or when everyone chips in to take care of the land. Whereas in cottage courts, those are all individually owned fee simple homes, and you're responsible for your patch of grass and maintaining your driveway and such.
So do we need to, like, I'm thinking ahead to like zoning, do we need to kind of call out those each as their own entity?
I think with cottage courts, you do need to have, an articulated ordinance in your
Okay.
zoning code. And co-housing, I would imagine, I don't really know, because the housing could be attached or unattached.
Okay.
The only additional thing is that building, the common building, and I don't know if you'd have to have it doesn't, I don't know, I don't think you'd have to
Depends how it's
laid out or something,
they're
or,
laid out.
yeah. In a for-profit co-housing, it's probably, I don't know the zoning. I'll look into that. I just, my instinct is I don't think so, but I will look into that. Make sure, if you're something you're interested in exploring, that it gets referenced in terms of the zoning code update.
Is each unit individually owned, like its
Yes.
own lot? Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Well, its own lot, or, I mean, some of them are attached, so, but they're all of the homes are individually owned, yes. And
As long
some,
as there's a category that accommodates that size, then it could just be under regular zoning. I think.
right, and some of them are MACLT homes and some of them are market rate homes. That's just the way that development is, but the other developments, I think some are nonprofit and some are market rate in the city of Madison. Any other questions on co-housing? Okay. Tiny homes. So tiny homes are typically understood to be 400 square feet or less, and they are increasingly popular for a lot of reasons because they're very small. There is very little to take care of. They're a lot less expensive. Tiny homes can be on slab, or they can actually be on a trailer, so you can move them. And I'm not that familiar with Madison's zoning ordinances relates to tiny homes, but I do think that that would need to be identified because it would probably, I'm not sure, usually tiny homes are situated together. So I don't know if you could put a tiny home, I mean, if you reduce your lot size, even if you had a 3,000 square foot lot and you put a 400 square foot home on it, I'm not, yeah. I don't know how they zone it in Madison, but that might be something that, we should consider, or you should consider including, and I'll look into that. Sorry, I didn't, yeah. But everyone knows what they are, correct? I mean, it's just basically a living space that has, I mean, it has all of the features, it has water and electricity and a toilet and a sleeping area. They're just very small and either movable or on slab, and often located in groups, clusters. I just want to tell you, I share with you that in the past week, I met with 2 ADU developers, which is a new term. And one of them was I met who specializes in providing ADUs. He specializes in, he does acquisition rehab and purchases new homes and leases them and retrofits them for seniors. And he leases them to the service agencies that support the seniors. Because he has a number of properties in Madison, he's now building ADUs on those properties, and they're typically about 1,000 square feet. I visited him in his model demonstration over on the west side in Madison, actually last week, and it's a 3-bedroom, 1,000 square foot ADU, completely zero entry, wide sidewalks, so the wheelchair can go in, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, everything is ADU accessible. And he is interested in working with communities to expand this model, and potentially I said, would you be interested in doing like a cottage court where you do, a handful of these? And he said, yes, potentially. So he's, yeah. So I met with him last week, and then I met another gentleman, Philip Ashby, who is an architect, and he's building ADUs at 575 square feet, smaller, less expensive, and that's what he is specializing in. And he's specializing in sustainable passive solar and trying to make them affordable. So he's really focusing on affordable ADUs, which is something that you don't really hear talked about because they're just, in general, when you build them, it's like, 1,000 square foot ADU at market rate would be at least several $100,000, not including the land. So, but this other gentleman is building affordable ADUs, or wants to build more affordable ADUs. So I wanted to share that with you because this is a burgeoning thing. City of Madison has passed a lot of zoning updates to their ADU ordinance, allowing for up to 4 units, additional units, and allowing people to subdivide their properties. So it's really creating a new market for people who are in this niche, yeah. Any questions on that? Okay. So this past week, I've recently learned about Heyday Development. I think you have a Heyday Development in Cottage Grove that's coming online. And I wanted to share with you what I've learned about it, and, just as a note of, just to make sure you are aware of, anyway, what I've learned. So in the Sun Prairie, Wanakee, and Cottage Grove, for the most part, what they're doing is they're building single-family homes for rental. And the good thing about that is that it's providing more housing. The drawback to building brand new single-family homes is that they're competing for limited land with individual residents, individual home builders, single-family developers like Viridian, who are seeking to build housing and home ownership options. And I think we're all aware of the fact that we do have a severe housing shortage, particularly within the home ownership space. And so the fact that we now have a new developer that's building hundreds of single-family homes, but only for rental, is taking land and taking homeownership out of the market. And so that potentially is driving up prices, creating more scarcity, and it doesn't allow people who are renting those homes to, build equity, right? Because their rent is going to go up year after year after year. And the other thing I discovered about Heyday is that their ownership is a foreign legal entity. So I don't know where that takes us, but I just wanted you to all be aware of that because, as planners, we've been watching this trend for, about a decade, but it's really been snowballing over the last few years. And we have other private equity, developers in Madison already. But the fact that this is growing and it's growing quickly, the fact that we have 3 Heyday developments that are, primarily rentals of single-family home, to me just feels a little concerning, and I wanted to share that with you. And I don't know, in terms of what you can, if there's anything you want to, and maybe it's a model that you're happy about and excited about, and that's fine. But if there is any way to address that awareness in the Cottage Grove housing chapter update, I think that's something we could talk about tonight.
Aaron, do you know how big that area where Heyday is? Is it like 15 acres? Do you know how many single-family homes that would be if it was just single-family homes?
I could go to the actual, their website right here.
Probably 60-ish, depending how they're,
60-ish. Do you know what the...
under our current zoning, it could be more. If
Okay. Does it have any public roads on it right now besides Fundamental Way?
it's just fundamental way.
Okay. But if it was single-family, it'd be probably all public roads and infrastructure. Do you know what the tax impact is going to be for the current plan for Heyday? Or what? You probably
Top of my head, I know Matt's looked that
and what it might be if it was just single-family housing.
I could figure that out.
Okay, thanks.
I was just going to mention, I recently met with a Sun Prairie City Council member, and we specifically talked about Heyday. And one of the things that he would like to see them do, and particularly in Sun Prairie, is they want to build more buildings. And so what he's trying to get to them to do is take the existing rentals and then turn those into a land contract where then somebody who's living there rather than renting is rent to own, which I think is kind of a neat idea. I'm not sure that it's being embraced by Heyday, because one of the challenges is, does Heyday become the mortgage lender, for instance, or how to, there's a lot of fine details. But if there a way to build those into any future developments, I think that would be something to look at, because at least then people would have equity in what they're renting. So this conversation is being had over there as well. So I just wanted to mention that.
One other thing I think it might be important to point out as well is if it is a choice between that Heyday rent or own, I think most of us would probably take own. But if it's Heyday rent or nothing, I think rentals is better than nothing. No housing.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I guess the healthy mix between home ownership and rental is also important too, so I think that's a factor.
I mean, I think I think rental certainly is part of the mix when you talk about single-family home rentals. You're talking $2,500, $3,500 a month, which is different than an apartment rental, which would be less. The average would be less. So, right. But there is that mix.
I guess the one area that I would have to look more into is I would be hesitant to, I am not sure if there's a clear way to design an ordinance that would allow a particular type of rental in there because of the way the zoning and our ordinances are. It would be very difficult to take those steps at this very moment. And I'm not sure if we would want to go there, so this is the devil's advocate part of me coming out, because of the unintended consequences, what this could mean for other development, other rental, especially like Maureen said, and how we want that mix in there. For example, I know like some models for senior housing is rental in essence. So I don't want to impede that type of development when we're thinking about something like a heyday. So again, this is just the devil's advocate in me thinking through and just saying like, hey, just be aware of the unintended consequences of going down this path.
Yeah, and I don't know that municipalities have the capacity to regulate the tenure type, right? You know, so, yeah. But acknowledging that them and/or a preference for increasing your single-family home ownership priority, of, you know, having a priority of for, you know, developers who are doing single-family home ownership development versus rental, you could state something like that, which is not legally binding, but it's letting them know that you want to prioritize home ownership, which is what we have such a shortage of, so.
I think if there's a demand for rentals of a single-family type product, the market's going to provide it one way or another. And if it's not in a project like this, it's some kind of business buying up homes in single-family neighborhoods and renting those out. And I don't know if that's
Yeah,
necessarily.
they're doing it now, they're doing it, it used to be they were just buying homes and renting them, and now they're building them and renting them, so. But it does represent a significant competition for land and the people who just, you know, want to buy a lot, or builders who just want to, you know, build or, right, so, yeah, anyway.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the concerns that I've heard from the community is our local home builders aren't getting an opportunity to build. So like if a heyday comes in and they do all the construction, or you do a subdivision, that, you know, they have their own builders, and we have local home builders here in Cottage Grove. So I don't know how, and that's not something that I don't think I've brought up in the past, but as we're kind of thinking of some of these things
Yeah.
that we can try to tie in to give our local folks an opportunity.
Yeah,
Not that it's going to happen every time, but, you know, when the big companies kind of come in, they kind of control all of that.
right,
So just a thought to throw out there.
yeah. I don't know how you, do you have any, do you have an inventory of lots that are developable at this point that are unsold?
And we just made that map not too long ago. Yeah.
So yes, no?
We do. It's not, all the zoning, I mean, the residential zoning is kind of small, but there's a lot of parcels currently in rural holdings that could be made residential. So, yeah, Aaron and I have been looking at that.
I think too, creating lots and creating the smaller lots could potentially be a deterrent for a developer who wants to come in and build, you know, 104, I think you're going to get 114 rentals in that, I think there are 15 or so, I can't remember how many square feet, so, and they're building them in such a way that if you've already created lots that are smaller in size, wouldn't fit their model, potentially. But, yeah. Anyway, so, conversation to keep on having and discussing. So, the activity for tonight is we're going to read through each of the action item list one priority at a time. The master copy that you see in front of you, I basically took all of your input, and there are lots of kind of duplicates or most sort of duplicates, and so in some cases I've combined them or streamlined them, but each of you who've submitted action items have your own copy by your desk, so you can make sure that, you know, this is reflecting what you shared. So I want to go through each action item and make sure everyone understands it, if it needs clarification or refinement, and then it make sure that it reflects the strategies that you're trying to implement. And then I'll ask you each to vote on your top 3 for 0 to 2 years, and then mark your papers. And then ask you to vote on your top 3 for 2 to 5 years, and then mark your papers. And then at the end of the evening, you're going to turn those into me, and then I'm going to share those, share how you divided those out between top priorities or 2 to 5 year priorities. And then the ones that are don't make it into that top 5, go under the list for further consideration. How does that sound? Clear? Okay, good. All right. So, how about I have someone read housing priority number 1 and the strategies? Any volunteers? Okay.
Diversify housing stock to include townhomes, condominiums, missing middle rentals, small format single-family homes, accessory dwelling units, and cottage courts. Strategy number 1, update local zoning code to allow for a greater diversity of housing types. Strategy 2, plan neighborhoods that include a range of housing types, densities, and cost. 3, use the future land use plan to specify locations for a range of housing types to diversify available housing stock. 4, increase density compatible with single-family development. 5, make Cottage Grove more inclusive to diverse populations.
Okay, great. So the first one, action item, is a combination of several, and Paul, you want to read it? It's mostly yours, I think.
Sure. So one of just a clarification,
Yeah.
I thought we struck the word rentals from housing priority 1, and we just said missing middle. Because down below, we say missing middle.
Wait, housing priority number 1, I don't see rentals.
Um,
Oh, the word missing middle rentals.
just the word rent. I thought we struck that either 1 or 2 meetings ago, just the word rentals.
I think, weren't you talking about in the priority number 2? No? Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
Okay.
messing them up, but
So just in terms of the definition of missing middle includes townhomes, condominiums, small format single-family homes, accessory dwelling units, and cottage courts, as well as missing middle rentals. But it's called missing middle rentals because it's a specific size. And if you don't, so we're referring to all of the other housing types
okay.
of missing middle, except for the rentals. If I take rentals out, then we're not talking about rentals, but we're referring to all of the other missing middle housing types.
Okay. So it's probably housing priority 2 then was the one.
I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
it is. I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. I can read number 1. Update zoning districts to encourage a mix of housing types, including condominiums, missing middle, multifamily, accessory dwelling units, tiny houses, co-housing, small format housing, townhomes, cottage courts, by right and/or through streamlined administrative approval process. And I think I added the tiny houses and the co-housing.
And the co-housing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Question on that, are you envisioning like one district that would accommodate all of those different things, or there would be like different districts for different things?
I think different districts, that would, just to give a variety. So it could be like a cottage court district or a tiny home, like village, as they call them. That's what I was thinking.
I think the idea here, right? I mean, I think the idea is that, well, it could potentially include all of them, right? I mean, it could, but it could be more than one. So do you think it'd be probably helpful to specify that distinction then? Update zoning districts or create zoning districts to encourage, create zoning districts. That way it's like plural, to encourage a mix of housing types. I just want it to be understandable, right? What do you think, Aaron? Chris, do you have any thoughts?
I do have some thoughts, but it's the way I would like to see it's a bigger endeavor. So I don't want to like sidetrack us in the short term, but I guess generally I think it should be sort of like a step, like Housing District A has this, Housing District B has A and then that, Housing District C has A, B, and then the third thing. So sort of just like I don't know what you'd call that, but
Right, a tier.
yeah.
Maybe we could say, create several zoning districts that include, or that encourage, that include a mix. Create several zoning districts that include a mix. Would that be okay? Because I mean,
Would
I
be
think
okay.
whoever's on
I'm-
the committee to update the zoning code then could then interpret that, unless you actually want to go into this tiered the idea in this
Well,
piece.
I mean, I don't know. Generally, my thought is that our districts are already. I don't love the idea of creating more districts because I feel like it gets a little too complicated. I think the zoning districts need a little condensing and streamlining. But for the sake of not creating a ton of work right now, that's probably fine.
Okay. I think this is the introduction, and then if you're
Yeah.
on the zoning committee, then you look at all the districts and you say, okay, we have to add a couple here. How are we going to combine them and, right, refine them and condense them, and like you said. Okay, so create several zoning districts that include a mix of housing types, right? Okay. Yes? Good? Okay. The next one. Now, this is both JP and Chris had quite a number of these, and I kind of just combined them in this list. And I think you did, I think Paula and Lorraine, you did too. So I just combined them in this list. Make updates to residential zoning code, including but not limited to reduce or eliminate minimum parking requirements, reduce minimum lot size to, I said X, Y, or Z square feet, only because if you have a number, putting a number in makes it more specific, not necessary though. Reduce lot coverage requirements, permit subdivision of current property by right, reduce setback requirements, allow ADUs by right with no owner occupancy requirement, allow up to 4 units per property in residential zones by right. And if you haven't, Chris created an appendix in his,
And actually, I saw that the printed version was a little off. So I did email it as well. So
Okay.
if you can refer to the emailed one, it makes more sense. Can I ask
number 5.
Aaron a question about ADUs real quick? Because I was talking to Dave Peterson, who was on the housing task force, and he was under the impression that we do permit ADUs. Do we permit ADUs? We don't right now. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
So does anybody have any thoughts, comments, or questions on that list of updates to the residential zoning code? And preference for leaving out the square footage or including a specific square footage?
The subdivision by right, I guess I'm wondering what scale of that are you talking about?
What I was thinking is it would be in half, and then there'd be like you'd have to, the person who's dividing it would have like an owner occupancy requirement for the other half for a certain amount of time. And I think, as I recall, what I had was it would just be the one time. You can wait. You can do it like once a year until you get like 60 subdivisions of your property. It's just sort of an option for if somebody wants to divide it and build a smaller house and get some passive income or something.
I have a small house on a big lot in Madison, and now Madison has passed a subdivision ordinance, and I can actually subdivide my backyard and put an ADU on it and sell it.
I think I have more information in one of my Google Docs somewhere that if we go forward with
You
something
just have to
like
make
that-
sure it aligns with state law.
Yeah.
State division.
Any other questions on those? Should we just eliminate the square feet and let that zoning committee or who's ever going to oversee the update of the zoning code manage that? Okay. Permits, any other questions on those?
Guess for minimum minimum lot size? Do we want the minimum lot sizes in the current districts to be smaller, or do we want new districts with smaller lot sizes?
I think current district's just smaller. And actually, thinking about it now, I think maybe we should say a square feet
Okay.
goal. Just because I know we've already like reduced minimum parking requirements, but it was pretty small reduction. And these are things that I think we really need to do. And if we just keep doing it incrementally, I don't know that we're going to get to where we need to be quick enough.
So currently, the communities that I know about that are updating their zoning codes are reducing their minimum lot size to 3,000 square feet.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Aaron, would you be more comfortable if we said make updates to the residential zoning code in accordance with state law?
No, I mean, I think that's implied, it would have to be.
Okay. Okay, I just want to, I want to make sure you're
I
comfortable.
just wanted to make sure I understood what he meant.
Okay, okay. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next one? Okay, and I have a question for you, Chris, this is yours. Allow lower intensity uses to be built in higher intensity zones. Could you explain that a little bit to me? I'm not sure I quite
Yeah,
understand
that would be allowing, if someone wanted to build commercial in residential, no, that's not right. Disregard that. Commercial in industrial or residential in commercial in industrial.
Okay. So would another way to say that would be allow mixed uses in all districts or
That's fine with me. Yeah, I like that. Just, it's gotta go. It's just gotta
allow
go
mixed
up, 'cause,
uses
like, I don't
in
want
all
people
districts
to think-
appropriate to,
I just don't want it to go the other way, like people trying to do industrial in a residential zone.
yeah, right. That would not be good. Okay. I'm going to think of some text. I don't have anything right off my head, but text. Okay. Now that I understand what you're trying to go for there, I'll think of something, unless someone has a thought on that. And you are talking about. Oh, you're not specifically talking about housing. You're saying commercial can go in industrial.
Generally, no, but if we need to just stick to housing for this particular thing, we could specify that too. I'm good either way.
Okay. Okay. Okay, next one. Who wants to read that one? Number 4.
I can do it.
Okay.
Create design standards so smaller scale apartments keep a small town feel instead of looking like mini mid-rise complexes. Appendix 1.
That's pretty straightforward. Do you have a design commission or a design committee, an urban design committee? You do? No.
Just for the Commerce Park,
For the what?
just for the Commerce Park, not for the whole village.
Okay. So in order to would you need to? I don't know. Would you? How would if you were going to come up with design standards or, that would probably. Well, I have a recommendation or an idea in here that maybe you guys should have a housing committee. So anyway, maybe that would be their job. But obviously, that has to be created, and that wouldn't be part of design standards. Wouldn't be part of the zoning code update. That would be part. Yeah, right. It could. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next one. Number 5. Who wants to read number 5?
Develop clear standards and guidance for missing middle housing to streamline approvals and ensure compatibility with existing neighborhoods.
Paula, you want to share a little bit about what you're thinking? I think this was yours.
I think that was my.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can't remember all of them. Okay.
No, just pretty much straightforward, just having some guidelines in regards to missing middle so that, we have a kind of a standard blueprint of what we want and we can
Okay, when you say guidelines, do you mean like a definition of what Cottage Grove says missing middle is? Because guidelines, I don't understand necessarily guidelines, like or maybe standards, because missing middle is basically a housing type.
Just like when we kind of first started, right? Missing middle is kind of ambiguous,
Right,
right?
right,
And
right.
so kind of defining what missing middle
Okay.
and what we would like here in Cottage
Okay.
Grove.
Can I say define? Okay. Define clear standards. And then to streamline approvals and ensure compatibility with existing neighborhoods. Okay, to streamline approvals, are you asking for approval processes to be streamlined for missing middle housing? Because I think for the most part, missing middle housing is allowed by right, because it's market rate housing, right? Or I don't know, I shouldn't say that. In your residential zoning codes, can you do townhomes and condominiums and,
Depends on the district, but yeah,
right?
I think where that would come into play is maybe more for site plan reviews and things like that, because I think anything over 4 units, I want to say, has to go through a site plan review, which is an extra step.
Site plan review. So that is where that would come in. The streamlining approvals and ensure, so you potentially want to streamline approvals for missing middle because you have a ceiling of 4 units. And potentially, that would be an obstacle for someone who wants to put in 8 townhomes. They'll have to go through an approval process. So you're asking to streamline that development. Okay, got it. Okay, great. Next, who wants to read number 6?
Establish design and density transition standards that balance increased housing diversity with neighborhood character.
I understand what it means to establish design standards, but I don't know what density transition standards are. I can imagine. Whose is this?
That was mine again.
Okay, okay.
Well, what are your take on it?
So establish design standards that balance increased housing diversity with neighborhood character. So to me, that's like, if you have a single-family neighborhood, you're not just going to stick 100, unit building right in the middle of it, or right next to it. You'd want some sort of a transition. So, okay. Okay, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly where.
Yeah, right. I'm just thinking, because that's, okay, got it. I understand now. Does
Can
everybody
I-
else understand?
I think so. The only thing I want
I'm not really sure what that, that text isn't coming to my mind, but I'm sure it's out there.
when we say neighborhood character, can we define
yeah, right.
more what that means? Like, does that mean the physical site characteristics of the other houses in the neighborhood so that that looks the same or
I was
similar?
just thinking of the style of Cottage Grove homes in general, but we can change it.
With
I just-
neighborhood scale,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's scale.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
I would say,
Okay.
like in the village, we have a wide variety of different style homes and designs of them. So I think something a little bit more broad that kind of what Chris was getting at is necessary in there, because character can be interpreted in multiple different ways.
Right.
So scale, is that suffice,
Yeah.
you feel?
I think so.
Okay.
Because that's the idea that, like, you don't want this giant thing next to this tiny thing, right? You want that transition to be sort of somewhat guided, right? Okay, so scale. Okay,
Lauren, oh, I was just going to ask, do you
Yeah.
have like an idea of mind, maybe in Cottage Grove where we do it well, the transition, or if not in Cottage Grove, a different idea of the density transition?
Let me think that through a little bit.
Okay, Okay.
Okay, number 7, who wants to read 7?
I will. Update comprehensive and neighborhood plans to encourage a mix of housing types within the same areas, supporting residents at different life stages and income levels.
Is everyone clear on that and feel or comfortable? Okay, good. 8? Identify sites where mixed housing neighborhoods can be intentionally planned near schools, services, transit, and employment centers. Make sense? Clear? Okay. Number 9?
Update the future land use plan to identify locations appropriate for a broader mix of housing types and densities.
Excellent. Pretty clear, straightforward? Okay. Is that it? Yes. Under missing other, I wrote adopt a fair housing ordinance because I didn't see a strategy that specifically, an action item that specifically addressed number 5, which is make Cottage Grove more inclusive to diverse populations. I don't know if that's something you want to use, but that's just one of the things that popped into my mind. And diverse populations can be racially diverse or economically diverse, but I took it to mean both, and so, yeah. Are there any other things that, action items that could make Cottage Grove more inclusive to diverse populations besides adopting a fair housing fair housing ordinance, or I did a presentation last year in 2024 on how to make your community more welcoming to people of color. That was much more broad than it is specifically housing, and I can share that with you. I mean, that's everything from, ensuring that you have representation on your websites and your, outreach materials, a diverse population just visually. There's also an opportunity for doing things, hosting diverse cultural events, whether it's a Black artist or a Latino, professor or something, in terms of culturally. I'm not remembering all the things that I included in there. There is an opportunity for a community to state the fact that their community is welcoming and, sort of a proclamation that there's, welcoming to diverse populations. There are lots of different things that you can do. Yeah, anyway, but this, we're talking about housing, so I wrote adopt a fair housing ordinance. I don't know if you want to include that or not, but that's the one strategy that we don't have an explicit action item for. Any thoughts, comments? Would you like to include that suggestion, or would you like to not?
The top of your head, do you know good examples of communities our size that have that kind of ordinance?
Who in Dane County has a fair housing ordinance? Other than the city of Madison, I think Sun Prairie might. I know Middleton has it on their housing action list for this year, for 2026 to do. I don't have the list of them, all of the ones. I think Fitchburg. Does Fitchburg?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Find out, yeah.
So, yeah. So I'll leave it in unless you want me not to, or I can come to the next meeting with a whole list of other things or send that to you in between. But if we're not going to operationalize the strategy, I'm not sure if it makes sense to include it. Okay. So now what I need you to do on your piece of paper is to put your top 3 action items that you want to get done in the next 24 months. And then right next to that, could you write, you could either write short-term or 0 to 2, so I know which ones are like that you feel that are important to get done in the next 0 to 24 months.
So again, just to confirm, you want 3 across short-term and,
Medium term and then
Medium term
further
and long-term.
consideration.
okay,
Yeah.
so only 3 across any of those.
No. 3 of each.
Three of each,
Your
okay.
3 top, what are the 3 that think you need to be done in the next 2 years? What can wait a little bit longer, 2 to 5 years, and then you don't have to write further consideration. I'll just mark those for further consideration.
This is why I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'd point out, we are updating the rest of the comp plan this year, so 7, 8, and 9 are gonna happen this year anyway,
Okay.
or early next year, but in the next 12 months.
Did you choose a?
The RFP's out, so we're waiting for responses.
And one other thing I just wanted to remind you that Dane County's coming out with a grant program to update your zoning code in the next month or 2. And I think you'd be able to apply to, you might not be ready to do your whole code because you're still going to do your comp plan, but you could apply for an update to a subdivision ordinance, or you could, just update your zoning code, your residential zoning code. So that is something just to keep in mind, and actually kind of exciting because there's money out there for you to do that. Zero to 2, mark 3. 2 to 5, mark 3. Everybody ready? Yeah. Okay. And you can just put that face down. I'm going to collect these at the end of the evening. Actually, could you put your initials on them, so in case I have a question, I can reach back out to you? Paul, if you could just put your initials on yours and then just turn it over, and I'll collect them at the end of the evening. Okay, housing priority number 2. So I made a couple of changes in the strategies to try and refine this a little bit. Before we go on, I just want to share that strategy number 2 is actually in under priority number 1, but because it matches, it talks about the increase of supply, and then this priority is all about the increasing supply. It made more sense to have it over here. And then the other thing that I did is combined number 6 with number 4. So yeah. And as we go through, you can see how this pans out. Okay, who's up for reading housing priority number 2, strategies? Priority and strategy.
I can do it.
Okay, great.
Increase overall supply of housing units of in-demand housing types. Strategy 1, increase overall supply rental units to keep rents comparable with neighboring communities. Strategy 2, increase the supply of missing middle housing, townhomes, condominiums, accessory dwelling units, ADUs, small format single-family homes, cottage courts, small multi-unit multi-family moved from priority 1. Strategy 3, coordinate new residential development with school district to ensure adequate capacity. 4, ensure existing and future neighborhoods are well served by sidewalks, bicycle routes, and other non-motorized facilities, connecting neighborhoods and services with clearly marked walkways and pedestrian lighting. 5, plan and develop more pedestrian and bicycle-friendly housing in neighborhoods with access to transit. Complete streets. What would now be 6? 7 on our document. Plan pocket parks and more green space. 7 or 8 on the doc. Prioritize accessibility, ADA accessibility, and integrating universal design in housing and neighborhood development.
Great, thank you. Any thoughts, comments? Okay, let's move on to the action items. Who wants to read the first one?
Oh, before we go, can I
Yeah.
just, this is the one,
Oh.
you were right, that I thought
Okay.
in a past meeting that we struck the word rental.
Okay,
In the strategy number 4, or strategy number 1, where I had said, increase overall supply of units to keep housing costs comparable with neighboring communities. But
okay.
I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly, but that's what I had in my notes.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that, and then I looked at, the rental information, comparing Cottage Grove and the rest of the municipalities, so I think it was, and we could do whatever you want with it, but Cottage Grove has the highest rents, it's at 50, average highest rents in all the neighboring communities of 1,500. They have the highest number of cost burden renters at 36.8%, which is 3 or 4% higher than the neighboring communities. And then the other thing was that they had a 0.9 vacancy rate, so the lowest vacancy rate. So more housing of all types would help reduce pressure on housing costs, but I think this was created because of the rental, that you skewed high with rentals, the highest with rentals, and the most number of cost burden renters. But happy to change it however you'd like.
Not to conflict with you, Paula, but in my notes, I don't have any changes for that strategy in priority 2.
I remember having a conversation about the survey data reflecting that current residents weren't looking at more rentals, weren't looking to increase the number of rental units in the village.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was during that conversation.
Yeah.
So I guess then I'll just say I would advocate for us to remove the word rental and be more broad in that regard. I actually think our vacancy rate is higher than what you mentioned, but it's always a snapshot in time, obviously.
I mean, in the snapshot compares to other communities, yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Well, in the snapshot of time in which that stat was pulled. So that's just my personal preference, but obviously, whatever the committee wants to put forward.
And I think that what we understood in terms of the makeup or the response rate from homeowners versus renters is that the responses from the response rate from homeowners was significantly larger than it was from renters, and I can look it up for you. I mean, these surveys are complicated. There's lots of different, yes, right. Any other thoughts or comments?
Just kind of going by what you're saying, so you feel like the voice of renters wasn't really reflected in the survey?
Well, I think that I can give you the actual number or percent of renters in that responded to the survey. And it was significantly less than the number of homeowners. And I think that, yeah, Let me just look at this real quick here.
I guess a question to that then is, even though it was underrepresented, do we know if renters asked for more rentals? Like, do we have that correlation, even though they,
I could look, yeah.
okay.
Found it from our previous notes. Survey limitations, low response rate from renter households, 20%, 26% of renters in CG, which equated to 9% response rate. So overall representation was homeowners were at 74.2. Oh, homeowners are 74.2% of Cottage Grove, and they had a response rate of 88.38 versus renters, who make up 25% of Cottage Grove, only had a 9.8% response rate.
I guess in demand just comes down to who are we listening to about what's in demand? Is it just the people that are here now, or is it we're trying to help address shortages regionally, or?
Well, and
Some
also
balance
within, the community, certainly. Rentals tend to, help people who don't have enough money for a down payment for a home. So, apartment rentals, and then certainly with your new, Amazon facility, I think you're probably going to be attracting a lot of new workers that might not be making enough to buy a home. So, yeah. And I'm happy to look over this survey again and get you back some more information. But, and the thing is that the next one, increase overall supply of housing units in demand housing types. So the next strategy, which I moved from the first one to the second to this one, increase the supply of missing middle housing, townhomes, condominiums, accessory dwelling units, ADUs, format, single family homes, cottage grove. That's not inclusive of, market rate multifamily housing. That's potentially not, that's over like 10 or 20 units. So that's, and we do talk about affordable later on, but if we leave out this rental, then we're excluding multifamily rentals, market rate multifamily rentals, whether luxury or not. And this says increase overall supply of housing units of in-demand housing types, and certainly rentals are one of those.
I want to support to keep it in, and I also think about the school district bringing more families to the district, and then I think multifamily properties do that, bring significantly more families, so I would like to keep it in.
Any further discussion? Okay. Strategy 3, who wants to, or strategy 2, wait, where were we? Oh, you just read all of them, JP, did you?
I did.
Okay. So where are we? Make updates to the residential zoning code. Oh, yeah, number 1. I don't know if you want to keep this in here, but I know, Chris, you and JP repeated your sort of zoning code updates for each of the first 3 or 4 priorities, and I'm not sure if we should repeat that whole list or just refer to it, or.
I don't think we have to repeat it.
I mean, the list is substantial, and it's like one of the first things in the action items, and I think it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to be focusing on that for one priority in 0 to 2 years, I don't think we need to
Put it in each of them.
that was the best I had for those.
Yeah,
ones.
no, that's fine, that's fine.
Well, and then my thought is like they're inherently related. and
Right.
So like by doing the updates there, you're gonna tackle some of those strategies in priority 1 as well as priority 2 and the other ones. And so that's why I had them in there, and then
Right.
like
Right,
in terms of the impact
right.
element of it.
And they will, they'll impact all of those. But if you're comfortable leaving that, sort of representative list of zoning updates in just one, then we can strike number one in the next few. Okay. Number two, allow lower density uses to be built in higher density zones. Okay, I'm gonna come back with some text on that. Okay. Okay. Number three. Chris, this is yours.
Yeah, move towards form-based mixed-use code instead of use-based code. My thought there is just that a single-use zoning framework silos off people from the places they need to be. So creating mixed-use zoning can make it easier for people to live near where they need to go and people they need to see. Right now, basically, if you want to get anywhere in the village, you got to drive. And I don't want to say that people can't drive somewhere, but I think basically what we should be working towards is you can use your car to get anywhere, but you don't need your car to get everywhere.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Does move toward mean something like incremental steps, or does it mean we're gonna pick a date in the future where we're putting money aside to just
Well,
redo it?
it would probably, this would probably be a mid 2 to 5 year one, just because it would be a significant change. Unless it's like a parallel code, and then developers could choose which one they want to follow. Because it would probably take a lot of work to figure out what's it going to be. And then we could put the work in, and then at some date in the future, flip the switch.
What I'm hearing communities do, because a lot of them are interested in moving to this form-based code, is that they're doing it in steps, because it's such a huge change, and it doesn't necessarily work in every aspect. We had this conversation during developing this, the best practices to residential zoning code guide. What we could include, or what should we include, and that's the feedback that I got from Vanderwall, that people are moving towards it, but they're moving towards it in a more incremental
Yeah.
way, because it's such a big change and requires staff training. It's just like, it's such a big change.
And
So anyway.
and I think
yeah.
the one thing that we need to make sure we still do is we still have to regulate nuisances, because we don't want
You still have to
something
what?
that's- regulate nuisances like
Right.
light, pollution,
Right.
noise,
Right.
things like that. But I don't see any reason why a corner cafe can't be in the middle of a neighborhood so that people can walk to it, instead of it being over by the bike trail where you have to drive to meet your neighbors.
Now, one thing that you didn't include, or that's not included in here in the zoning code update, is allowing for creating mixed-use districts. The districts that Apollo referenced were, districts of different housing types. But if you'd like to include mixed-use districts as a potential district, that would get to what you're trying to talk about, where you have a cafe in your neighborhood, or a gym in your neighborhood, or something, So maybe we should expand that and include, or allow for, or create districts that also include mixed uses.
Yeah, that's an option. It's just, again, adding more stuff and making
Well,
it
we say
complicated.
adding, but we're not, nothing's happening here. It's actually going to happen in your zoning code update, in which
Sure,
you would all
sure.
would figure
I
out the
mean-
districts and refine them and design them to a way that was,
Yeah, I mean, when I think mixed-use code, I still think like the base, simplest one, besides like a rural holding, is still mostly residential. So I don't know that we need to add, I mean, it's really one or the other, I guess.
do you
We
have
could-
any districts, residential districts that allow for commercial?
I think we have a neighborhood commercial district, but it would have to be
Neighborhood
rezoned.
business, yeah.
Yeah. So like if it's a SR,
Is it an overlay? Can it go into residential districts, or is it just
It's a separate district.
a separate district? Okay. Maybe you'll just have to figure this out when you update this.
Yeah.
And see, one of the scope items I put in the comp plan RFP as kind of an option, if we can afford it, was to have the consultant, after the comp plan's done, take a look through our zoning code and make suggestions about what changes we can make to
Yeah.
better implement.
Yeah, because it'd be nice, you know, if someone owns a corner lot and they wanted to turn that into a small grocery store or something, to be able to do that without going through a huge long process.
Can they do that now? No. Yeah,
I
maybe?
think it would have to be
You would
rezoned
have
to
to get it
neighborhood business,
rezoned,
wouldn't it? Yeah.
And that's what you want to avoid, right? is
Right.
The neighbor, right, so in the past, mixed-use districts have allowed that, I think. But there's probably got to be some sort of a time frame where you go from conventional zoning to the form-based code where you're not, yeah. So what is that incremental step?
Yeah, I mean, an incremental step might just be having a parallel code so that they work in parallel.
Right.
Because I don't know, I think if you just flip from one to another,
Yeah,
that's going to freak a lot of people out, because zoning is already a daunting thing to talk to people about.
yeah,
And if you tell someone we're completely changing it, I don't know that they're going to go for it, just because it's
Right.
such a
okay.
daunting concept for a lot of people. So I think I think a parallel code might be an easier lift, but
Okay. But I get what you're getting at with the, you know, having be able to walk to a coffee shop or a store. Yeah, okay. Number 4. Now, we had this in the last one. Where's the best place for this, Chris? This is yours, I think.
I don't know.
Let's see. Include. We probably don't need to repeat it. Was this in the last one? Look at facade. Or maybe it's not. No, this is the first time it's showing up.
It doesn't look
Okay.
like it.
No, it wasn't in
Where's-
I think I took it out of the first one and left it in here. Or no, is it?
Could it be similar to 4 from the first one? Create design standards, show small scale apartments, keep small town feel. So mini,
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah, it's the same thing.
that is the same thing. I think I just,
So, yeah.
so
We
let's
could keep it in priority 1.
keep it in priority 1, okay. Okay, who wants to read number 5?
I will. Conduct a pedestrian and bicycle audit to evaluate existing conditions regarding safety, accessibility, and overall connectivity in existing neighborhoods, and make needed improvements. Combined with 6.
Incorporate pedestrian-friendly features such as clearly marked walkways, crosswalks, street lighting, and traffic calming measures into new development and redevelopment standards. I mean, those are kind of different things, you know, because one, you're actually doing an audit of existing conditions, and the next one is ensuring that these features are integrated into new development and redevelopment standards. So keeping them separate is fine with me. Does anyone have a thought?
I mean, I just think about this from the implementation phase. Like, if we're gonna go through with this, we would first want to research what we need to do,
Right.
and then use that as a way to make an intentional design.
Right. That's
um,
why I put the audit first. Is that what are you conferring that that's seems right, or are you saying something else?
So I guess it depends on how deep we go with 6. Is if we're gonna focus on new development standards, then I feel it's okay to keep separate.
Okay.
If we're talking about village-wide comprehensive plan and using it as part of its own, I guess, yeah, village-wide comprehensive plan, then it might be worthwhile to combine the two. So sorry, as I think about what I just said out loud. It probably makes sense to keep them separate, and what I just stated might be considered as an addition to 5, saying create a comprehensive plan. You have the audit, but then we take one step further and say create a plan.
I think where you're going to with that audit is that can also inform other areas of the village, right? That's kind of what, and I agree with that because I think, you know, we've already had citizens kind of asking for that. So I definitely think, you know, number 5 first, then have that inform number 6, plus any other public works kind of things.
Okay, and then moving on to 7, is 7 redundant then? Require new residential developments to include connected sidewalks, bicycle routes, and non-motorized transportation infrastructure. It's another way of saying it, so it's kind of redundant. Okay, I'm just going to take 7 out. Yeah. Are you okay with that, JP?
Or I think it might be worthwhile to combine with 6 elements of it, because pedestrian safety measures is one thing versus connected sidewalks, multi-use trails, bicycle paths, etc. I view those as 2 separate things that when done, we can do in conjunction with one another. They should be done together.
Okay, if we put bicycle routes and non-motorized transportation infrastructure into number 6, would you be okay with that?
I would be.
Okay. So we're adding bicycle routes and non-motorized transportation infrastructure into number 6.
Yeah, that was mine, and I think requires a little harsh, so I think incorporating that. is a
Okay.
little- Yeah.
I'll work on that a little bit. Okay. Number 8, who wants to read 8?
Identify and meet with the school district regularly to ensure adequate capacity and long-term alignment with residential growth.
So I'd like to say continue to, because I think we do that. We meet a couple times a year, and when you guys do your enrollment studies, we help with that, so. I don't wanna
Yep,
feel
I
like
would say
we're not
continue
doing
to,
that.
and also, I guess I have a question about identify. Like the individuals or, right, there
I
are,
think- I
there
think-
are multiple school districts in that the village residents attend. I don't, maybe that's what that's referring to, I'm not sure.
Are you comfortable with continue to meet with the school district regularly to ensure adequate capacity and long-term alignment with residential growth? Or would you like it to be more proactive or, you know, right, because, you know, right, you're facing some obstacles right now. How do you avoid that in the future? You know, like that, yeah. Part of me thought, you know, maybe it would be helpful for the school district to actually present to the village board once a year on the status of, you know, the student population or something, just so that is a very clear, you know, kind of communication. Because it's one thing if you guys are talking about it, it's another thing if you're presenting to the entire village board about the situation. I don't know. Or, yeah, on a semi, you know, maybe twice a year. I don't know. I have no idea. But that seemed to be,
I think
when I-
Tanya did that last year, and I think the intention was that it would be an annual thing.
It was, but I do wonder, to your point, maybe rather than having that just be like up to an individual leader, that's written down of like, that's the intention of whichever person is in charge doing it, rather than just an individual style or personal commitment.
so in terms of identifying the specific school representative person, or you mean no, what are you saying? I'm not sure.
We have a new superintendent who is committed to doing that, and so
Okay.
that like if it's her commitment, great. If we were to get another superintendent in 10 years and that's not their intention, if it's not written down as
Okay.
what the village and the school district should be doing, then they can just be like, well, yeah, I don't do that. Just to have it written,
would it be-
to formalize it.
Should we say invite the superintendent annually to present to the village board on student body and,
Yeah,
something like that? Okay.
State of the district.
Right.
So I guess, does it make sense, sorry, devil's advocate view here, to say superintendent or district official to provide that flexibility if the superintendent is not,
I think you could probably say superintendent or designee.
there we go.
Just two thoughts too. I mean, I would love to personally see the village board and the school board meet together. I don't know if that's the pie in the sky kind of thing, and we don't want to put that on paper, but it would be nice to have the policymakers, right, together. The other thing is, I do think we should, and maybe call out MG or not, but I definitely think we should say school districts because
School districts, okay.
yeah, particularly because of north of the interstate, there's people looking at potential housing out there, and that's Sun Prairie School District, and so we'd want to have that conversation with them.
Okay, so I say invite school superintendent or designee to present to the village board on an annual basis or on a regular basis, on a annual?
I think annual makes sense.
Okay. Annual basis on the state of the school districts, on the current state of the school districts. Is that okay?
Just to confirm, you have the plural, invite the school district's superintendent.
Invite school districts.
So I guess this was mine. So the conversation on capacity, do you feel like that shouldn't be? I'm kind of deferring to Katie.
I think it's connected.
Okay.
Right, so if it's a state of the district, it can include enrollment, it can include facilities, it could include capacity, because that would be enrollment and occupancy.
Perfect.
Okay. Great. And then number 9.
I'll jump in. Incorporate ADA accessibility and universal design principles into subdivision and site design standards such as no-step entries, wider doorways, and accessible bathrooms in a portion of new housing units in neighborhood developments.
Any questions on that? I have a question. How do you operationalize something like that? Can you? I mean, my understanding is that like a single-family home developer like Veridian, could you say to Veridian that you want, I mean, unless you specifically, and we're going to get to the senior chapter, but unless we specifically say, this is the number of units we want, but can you tell a developer or ask a developer to build a portion of their housing that is,
Put it in a developer agreement if they agreed to it, I suppose.
if they agree to it, yeah. Is that something you can direct a developer? I'm not saying that we should take this out because I think it's important that it's in there because it signals, that this is something that you're interested in. But I just don't know if you can actually regulate that unless you own the property, unless you're doing an RFP or, yeah.
So could we reword it to basically say encourage? And then do we even want to put like encourage 10% of new housing in a subdivision to meet these standards? Something like that, where we're kind of outlining like, we'd really like this to be a priority, and I don't know, I'm
Or
asking.
could you say require and then build it into your subdivision ordinance? Require that 10% or 15% of all new subdivisions have, senior housing, ADA accessibility. I mean, it's your community. It
Is
is, and we all know that quality of life, especially for seniors, is so dependent on interaction and community. So I think you should feel comfortable being bold about it and saying, require that a certain percentage, up to 15% of, I mean, you could say encourage but unless you require it.
Is there a way to incentivize it rather than require? It's like halfway between.
If you don't
I don't know
require.
I don't know what the
I doubt
incentive
if you
would
don't-
be.
I doubt if you don't require it, I doubt, you'll see the results you're looking for.
I'm okay with require, as long as we think we have the legal teeth to do that, like,
Yeah, we'd want to run that by them. And
yeah.
So
for
I'll just
single-
change it to
single-family
require.
home plans, does GEC, like, does Jim do that, or do those go to the state, or either or?
No, it wouldn't be for single-family home plans. It wouldn't go to the state, it would be GEC.
I mean, in all new subdivision, or, you know, in the subdivision, you could just say in subdivision ordinances. You don't even have to say in all new development, because, you know, there's all different types of development, you know, or in new subdivisions. You know, instead of saying incorporate, require ADA accessibility for design principles into subdivision and site design standards, such as such and such in up to 20% of new housing.
Sure.
And then we can find out if it's legal. Okay,
Sorry, just to clarify, up to 20% of new housing
development.
development. So again, by saying that, we're talking about overall housing development, not a subdivision plan.
It could be either or both.
Originally, I think she said subdivision, which is what I wrote down.
Yeah, she wrote in here,
That's-
right, it says, require ADA accessibility and universal design principles in subdivision and site design, in subdivisions, comma, and site design standard such as no-step entries, wider doorways, and accessible bathrooms in a portion of new housing units and neighborhood developments, up to 20%. I can, massage that a little bit.
I think the key elements are in a subdivision, up to 20%.
It might specify by phase, so they're not just building their 20% in one corner in the last
Right.
phase or something.
Right.
It's-
Okay. Needs work. Okay. Phase, I'll just write phase in question, in quotes, okay. I'll read the last one. Work with neighbors, work with developers, builders, and accessibility advocates to identify best practices and incentives that promote accessible and age-friendly housing options. And then I said, should we move that to priority 6? Or not? Yeah, yeah.
Just thinking out loud here, I don't know if it fits truly with 6. Because 6 is safety measures.
6 is all about senior housing. I think you're on the wrong one. Or are you on the right one?
Incorporate pedestrian safety
Or
features?
6, priority 6.
Oh, priority 6. Never mind.
Okay. Who wants to read 11 and 12?
I can. 11, ensure new housing development is supported by adequate municipal services, infrastructure, and amenities. 12, coordinate housing planning with public works, parks, public safety, and utilities to ensure neighborhoods are adequately served by new municipal service as housing density increases.
Clear? Needs any further discussion? Okay. I put, under missing and others, just some suggestions, take or leave them. Update the subdivision ordinance to include a range of housing sizes, type sizes and densities. Housing type sizes and densities, including condominiums, missing middle rentals, townhomes, accessory dwelling units, tiny houses, co-housing, small format housing, cottage courts. I don't think you explicitly said update your subdivision ordinance, but I'll check, because I think that's important to note that that's a whole different animal than your just residential zoning code. And then the other thing we talked about was prioritizing, in this heyday thing, prioritize developments to provide for sale, single-family housing versus single-family housing for rent. Any thoughts, comments? Include, don't include?
I think we have a lot of other action items in here, so,
Okay, so don't include them? Well, I
yeah.
think you need to have something in here that says, update your subdivision ordinance. I'm not sure that's the right place, or if. it
Didn't
should-
we cover that with zoning? Wouldn't that be part of the zoning?
It's not, no, zoning code update is not a subdivision ordinance is a completely different thing than a zoning code update.
Okay. But isn't that part of what we're doing with the comp plan? Won't that be a piece of it? I guess is where I'm going. Sorry.
The subdivision ordinance?
No.
No, it's a
I
total.
mean, you
separate-
could make suggestions that imply you should make changes to the subdivision ordinance, but it wouldn't.
I'll check in here, but I don't think there's anything that explicitly says to update your subdivision ordinance to include missing middle housing. Okay, and then prioritize developments that provide for sale, single-family housing versus single-family housing for rent. Should we just scratch that, or you want to consider that? Are you concerned about heyday or that model expanding? Or are you okay with it? No comment?
I
Okay.
guess my concern is, do we even have the legal footing to say anything along those lines? We can prioritize, state that out there, but at the end of the day, if it follows our zoning codes in terms of, in this case, apartments or whatever it is, rental units, then we would have to allow it.
Yeah, can we just say like, single-family owner occupied is preferred over single-family rentals? But not, like, single-family rentals aren't outlawed?
So,
I don't know.
so instead of saying prioritize developments that provide for sale, single-family housing versus single-family housing for rent, you think
I
that
just know, like, reading through the comp plan, I know there's certain areas where it says like multifamily housing is not, I can't remember the word now, is not preferred or whatever. So I was just wondering if there could be a line in there that just says single-family owner occupied is preferred over single-family rentals.
as opposed to prioritize developments, because prioritize developments feels like what? Not,
Well, I think it's, I guess, in my mind, saying one's preferred over the other means we'd rather have this, but we're not necessarily just going to say no to that. Whereas if we prioritize it, I don't know.
which, you want something more stern or less stern, or you want something, I
I
mean,
would say less stern, just to say that like, hey, if you're deciding between for sale or for rent, we'd rather have it be for sale, but we're not gonna stop you if it's for rent.
and you think prioritize developments sort of sounds like you're gonna stop them, or you wanna stop them?
I guess it sounds more like that in my head, but
Okay.
I don't know, what does everyone else think?
I guess I would like to be a little bit more stern about it, because I think what is happening is taking advantage of people. I mean, we're seeing that nationwide, and so I don't know if a compromise is prioritized is strong enough, or if it needs to be stronger. But that does concern me.
The idea is that you're signaling to them. I don't think you can legally do anything, because you can't legislate housing tenure, rental versus non-rental. But what this does is signal to them that you'd like to prioritize more single-family home ownership as opposed to more rentals. And these companies, I mean, they're giant companies. If it's legal, this is not going to stop them. If they want to be
Yeah.
here,
I mean, this isn't a make or break
right,
thing for me, so it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's all about the context of it as well. What else is with that statement? So I would be fine with whichever direction we go, just kind of working that statement a little bit.
Okay. Yes? More discussion? Okay. So.
There's more discussion, or I think we're good with keeping it.
Yeah.
But is it an action item in there, or is it just a note for how we communicated that this is a priority or not?
Maybe
This is
maybe
a
instead of
preference.
making an action item, it's a strategy.
Yeah, that could be it.
That's
Thank
more
you.
of a strategy. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do a time check right now. It's 8 o'clock, 8:08. Slow going. What I would like to do is have you guys do your top 3, 0 to 2 years, and then your top 3, 2 to 5.
Olivia, I'm sorry, can I just jump back? Because I had the process. I was
Yes, yeah,
thinking-
yeah. Uh-huh.
I was thinking about your idea, maybe conversions of like single-family properties to ownership properties, either rent-to-own or whatever. But I think condos, apartments into condos, that could be a priority. So that's just a thought when we had this, so,
Oh, yeah, rent to own. Yeah,
yeah.
right. You can't make money doing it, but it's not a very I mean, for us, I think it's a great idea, fantastic idea, but. they're
Or
not gonna-
conversions, of rental properties into condos. I know condos, it's a kind of
Right,
a sticky subject, but just an idea of
yeah.
creating
If you
more
want to, if
ownership.
you want to add a new one, send it to me. Okay. So, if you could, we'll just do these top 3, 0 to 2 years, and put 0 to 3 by them. And then, 0 to 2 months, 0 to 24 months is a 0 to 2 by your top 2, 3. Mark 3 with 0 to 2, and then mark 3 with 2 to 5.
My question about that is, like 8, 11, and 12 kind of are like, have to just be ongoing things. So in my head, it doesn't really fit into 0 to 2, 2 to 5, because it's,
We could title this section ongoing considerations, the last one,
okay.
and put it in there. That's it. It's a way we could cheat. And I'll just mark 8, 10, and 11 in here. So don't, is it? Oh, no, 11 and 12, 8, 11, and 12, sorry. So don't mark 8, 11, and 12. I'm going to put those in the ongoing considerations. And just for reference, we took out number 1, we took out number 2, and we took out number 4. So you can,
And 7, yeah.
and 7, right?
And 10.
And 10? Oh, yeah, we're moving to priority 6, yep. Wow, there's not much in there. That's okay, it'll be nice and short and clear. Oh, but we do have the other 2, missing other. Oh, no, prioritize, that's up in the that's turned into a strategy. So the only other one that you could mark is update the subdivision ordinance. One, 2, 3. Well, there are only 4 to mark. Oh, well, okay, that's fine. Oh, and please put your name on your paper, so I know in case I have any questions.
I'm just going to apologize because I have like scribbles all over mine.
No problem. Yeah, me too. Hopefully I'll be able to read my writing.
Yeah, could we scan them and send them to you? Because I'm kind of taking notes on them too.
Yes, you can.
So it's okay to scan and send them to you?
If you'd prefer, yeah.
Yeah, I have lots of scribbles that
Okay,
I'd like to keep too, so.
yes. Oh,
thank
yeah,
you.
keep them, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm, absolutely. Is everyone done? Okay, so the question is, it's now 8:13, it's late, there are chillins in the room, so we obviously have some more work to do. What I would like to suggest is that we meet over Zoom, because that would be easier. Like, we could probably do that, in the next couple of weeks, just to keep this moving. If you're okay with that? Are you okay with that? No?
I think it would still need to be a public meeting, right? So we just
Of
have
course,
to,
of
we can do
course.
that, we just
Yeah.
have to make sure it's,
Okay. I'm just thinking in terms of ease of scheduling, and, I'm happy to come back, but we need to keep moving.
Can you refresh our recollection, like, once we get through this, like, what are our next steps? Like,
Then I'm going to, once I'm going to take all this, and then I'm going to draft a chapter, and, then you'll have an opportunity to look at it. But that's it.
and then were we going to do, we had talked about like public sessions. It's once the chapter's drafted, but is it before it goes to plan commission or the board, or in tandem with
I
that?
don't remember the public session, sorry. It seems so long ago. Were we going to have
Yeah.
public sessions for this? Or
check my notes, yeah, we were gonna do
Okay,
something. And
okay,
there'll-
so-
There'll have to be a public hearing at least, it's
right.
state law.
Now, does that happen at plan commission, or are you saying something separate, like a open house or something?
I know it's been a while since we met,
Yeah,
but I
sorry, I do not
remember
remember.
JP and I were talking about multiple public opportunities to kind of weigh in.
Okay.
But I don't remember if we defined if that was before plan commission or after.
I can't remember, but
Okay.
I validate your thoughts.
Okay.
Before is probably better, because then we can do something about the feedback more easily, I think.
I think that's what we were saying, is like
Yeah.
before it gets to plan commission, so this is like, hey, we're working on this, this is where we have come up with after all this work, what feedback do you have before it moves on to the next step?
Okay. And that would be an in-person or an online thing, either one or both?
I think we talked about making different opportunities available, so like an online or an in-person. Yeah, I might just go back and watch that meeting to find
Okay,
out
okay,
exactly what we
okay,
talked about, but
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember.
No, that's okay. It's been a while.
Okay, so, to be expedient, since we're all here, would it be okay if we put a next meeting on our schedule? Would you be okay with that? Do you have? Wednesday and Thursday nights seem to be good for everybody, is that correct?
I would prefer Wednesday, but I can make Thursday work if need
Okay.
be.
So Wednesday, should we shoot for 2 weeks from tonight or 3 weeks from tonight?
2 weeks from tonight, we have plan commission.
Okay. What about the 18th?
That's library board.
Are Tuesdays good?
Thursday, the 12th, I don't see any meetings on that.
Because I can make it work. That's fine.
What time would it start? 6 a.m.
6?
Sorry,
6:30
good,
works.
good clarification. February 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6:30 is fine.
If I do, I'd probably just go for the day.
I'm gonna be at the conference,
What's the conference?
Eller's conference.
I don't know what that is.
They're like the financial consultants for most municipalities.
Oh. And that's an overnight thing?
Yeah, it's a Kalahari.
Oh. Okay.
I think we can move our committee meeting to the Kalahari. I'm down with that. Well, what about, I mean, I know this is kind of rapid turnaround, but what about next Wednesday, the 4th?
Works for me.
I can do it.
Works for me.
Yay. Excellent.
Oh, yes, yes, I can totally do it. No. Okay. And would you, I mean, I can come out here. It's no problem. Would you rather do it in person? Are we more efficient in person than on Zoom? Do you have a sense of which is preferable? It might be more efficient when we're in person, but I
prefer in person, but
Yep.
Zoom's fine.
Second that thought.
Okay. So
We can always have some people here and some on Zoom as a hybrid if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
I say, it's, let's do it all or nothing. So let's just do Zoom. And see how it goes. Yeah.
Do Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom.
Okay.
Or whatever. Isn't that what you guys use? Yeah. Zoom?
No, I
That's
thought
what
we
we
were
use, yeah.
talking about in person.
Okay, then let's do in person. You wanna do in person?
That works for me.
I guess it'd
Are
be,
you okay with in person?
yo, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
in person.
next Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay. Who's bringing the pizza?
I guess one question I would have is, does it make sense for us to go through the remaining priorities
Yes.
and jot down our initial
Yes,
thoughts? So we have
absolutely.
something,
Feedback, thoughts,
feedback,
comments.
thoughts, et cetera, prior to, knowing that there's a chance some of them might get striked out or something combined or something along those lines.
I mean, I've already done a lot of consolidation, but there's definitely more room for improvement. So, yes, please do that. And then if you're not handing me your priority 1 and 2 priorities, can you send them to me? Or maybe should they send them all to you and then you send them to me? Or how do you want to do it? I don't care, either way.
Send them to me, that's fine.
Send them all to Aaron. But I'd really like to get working on that document, because I could potentially, send it back out to you and just say, reflect, is this what we all heard? We could probably do that online versus, or in anticipation of the next meeting. Okay, so next Wednesday at 6:30 here, same time, same bad action. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Aye.
Oh, okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And yeah, please don't forget to send your scanned documents or take a picture of them to Aaron so he can get them to me. Thank you. This is for priority 1. Did you do one